Well, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dadnamic, the podcast that nobody asked for, full of people who have got outrageous opinions on things that they know nothing about. I'm going to be your host this evening. My name's Luke Lyons. I've just come fresh from the North Atlantic Sea, the fishing hauler. I'm also joined this evening by the love child of Marshall Mathers and Bron Strowman, Kieran Crichton.
What's the fact he knows who Braun Strowman is?
I've heard you mention things and I just decided to hang on to it. I've got no idea what he's like.
Hello,
I've also joined this evening by OK Poogle. OK Poogle, the man who gets you're wearing the wrong brand on your hat. I mean, for crying out loud, they're paying you royalties and you're not even wearing their brand, for Christ's sake. It's Mr. Paul Smith. How are you doing, guys?
Yes, very good. How are you doing, buddy?
How are you?
I was super stoked. I'm not going to lie. I've been looking forward to this for the past couple of weeks. The past 2 weeks that we've had off. It's been a rough couple of weeks. I was really looking forward to it because up until about an hour ago, we almost had the full quartet. You know, Nathan's going to join in as well, but unfortunately,
we can't have four of us.
I know. I think the world would just implode. You know, it would just stop in its access, and we'd life as we know it would just stop.
Too much goddamn charisma.
It's too much testosterone in one room.
Yeah, that's it. No one's mobile device has enough to stream that.
It's weird because I had an intro planned for him more than I actually had for Paul. I finally realised that he's salad fingers because his girlfriend is his girlfriend's ginger and he likes a rusty spoon.
Yeah, have you just noticed that he's salad fingers? Like every time since I've met him, as soon as he spoke, I'm like, I like rusty. That's what it's on the thing.
I'm actually going to start this evening on our podcast with, but actually, do you know what? It shouldn't even be called a podcast anymore. It's a podcast and blog now because we're live on YouTube, aren't we? We got ourselves our YouTube channel. We got things uploaded on there regularly. So if you can't reach us on, on Spotify and other SoundCloud, like Lord knows where you can pick up any podcast these days. You can get us on YouTube, which is great. You know, see our beautiful faces. I actually want to start where we usually end. I want you guys to have a think about this all the way through our little meeting this evening, which is the question that we usually ask. You know, the fictional question of if you could do this, what would happen? What would you pick? And it's about fictional dads. I want you guys to have a think about fictional dads and which one's the best one in your opinion. So
my real one. My real fictional dad.
Any kind of media or it's too close to home, Kieran. But yeah, I just wanted to have a little think. Let us know we go. Okay. It's been a rough week. It's been a rough couple of weeks, especially in the media and things like that. We lost the national legend of Tom Moore, Captain Tom Moore, as it were, to the virus that ironically he was raising money to fight against. I think he's been kind of an inspiration to the entire nation. I know he has for me, that he's actually made me kind of sit there and go, do you know what? When I'm 100, if I could be that damn charismatic, that would be good. And I've got to wonder with you guys where you get your inspirations from, and how they affect you in your life. I mean, we know at the moment Kieran's going full Dragon Ball Z with the haircut.
Yeah, that's it. I was trying to think which Dragon Ball Z character brings me most inspiration. No, you know what? God, that's weird inspiration. I suppose it's throw me right under the bus here. Can we let Paul go first?
Are you going to let me go first?
I have to say, because I'm a bit rusty at this. I haven't done this podcast.
I was going to say, I don't actually remember the last time that you were on one of these.
Yeah.
Episode 3.
It's that long.
Yeah. Words aren't my friends at the moment. So let Paul do it, and then I think.
Get some more of that wine. Get more of that wine in you, you'll be fine.
Right, actually, yeah, before we go on, taking a shot of my drinking, right, last podcast, I heard that, right?
We say it because we care.
That hurt me so deeply, I have to drink to forget, so that's kind of thrown back in your face.
Could you just tell us briefly, without getting to, I might be overstepping a boundary here, but in the time between the podcasts, something's happened to you, hasn't it, Kieran, that means that you can't enjoy alcohol the way that you would normally enjoy it. Do you want to fill the viewers in?
Yeah, well, no, it's not major, is it? I am having a issue. I'm having issues, stomach issues. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, no. I said you messaged us going, oh my god, I've just found out that I'm allergic to
allergy. Yes, so my stomach issue has caused many things, and one of the worst things it's caused is an allergy to beer. After Christmas, I had a few beers, and I wasn't feeling great, but I like it is what it is. Christmas, you soldier through and you carry on drinking. After Christmas, I had a sip of Budweiser, and my stomach blew up to that would eclipse a 9-month pregnant bird. Like, it was massive. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything, and the pain it would cause me. So I'm not that beer anymore.
That wasn't the turkey or anything like that, was it? You didn't eat too much.
No. So that has greatly upset me, because that is my favourite thing, and now I can't have beer.
I can imagine.
So,
going back to the inspirations, and how do your inspirations influence you, Paul?
It's really difficult, because I'm looking back and thinking about all the sort of the people I looked up to and things like that, and there wasn't really a singular person who had this great inspiration to go and do things and stuff like that. I think the one person that has drove me a little bit is my own dad. I think, but mainly it's sort of an opposing thing. It was whenever I had a salary increase or anything like that, I'd always go and tell him, oh, look, I've had a pay rise to this amount and stuff like that. I remember where I got the job I'm going to be heading to soon. I went, I'm going to be on over 50 grand. And he went, yeah, okay, just let me know when you hit 100 grand and you'll be at the same wage as I was. And no matter how many times, it's just always good. So my end goal is I have to beat that mark. Realize like I've made it.
I think mine's, it's not an inspiration, but it's more of a drive. So it's not like, obviously I had quite a different upbringing than what you guys had. So there's not a lot of people that I sit there and I'd be like, that guy, like that's what I aim to be. Like so what I have is more of a drive, whereas I can see where I am now, and I know where I want to be because of my children. So sort of what I didn't see when I was younger. That's what I want to emulate now for them.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
No. Yeah. That's exactly what how I thought. It's really weird how, like you mentioned, your dad Paul, and you obviously Kieran mentioned like being a dad as a massive inspiration. You know, it's constantly throwing you curveballs. You're having to dodge and you're having to or catch. You're having to adapt and change things. We all kind of, and even you'll get this, Kieran. You all are inspired by your dad in a certain way, where it's a bit like, actually, I'm going to do this better than they did. You know, even if it is a little bit, it could be just the world's smallest bit of, do you know what? He was a bit of an ass cook, so I'm going to go out my way to be able to learn to cook or something like that. I mean, even Kieran, with the greatest respect as well, just being there for your kids is already doing something.
Yeah. I think everyone has that, isn't it? You sit there and you like, I think it's a very, this can sound sexist, but it's a very man thing. You see your dad, then you're like, I'm better than that guy. Like, so Paul, you were saying you're this financial. Your dad laid down the gauntlet on financial. Like, all right, cool, right, challenge accepted. And mine is just being here, which I'm winning. And I think his glorious beard.
be fair, the moment you started speaking about this, and we started speaking about dads, I was half imagining that, that scene from How I Met Your Mother, where the girl goes to Barney, "Who's your daddy?" Because I don't know. Instantly came to mind. Sorry, Kieran.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When we talk about inspirations, that I've overheard, you guys talk passionately about people who are in the limelight that you follow at the time, at certain times of things. Like I know, for instance, with you, Kieran, you're a massive avid fan of Tom Hardy. This is a guy who you sit there and go, he's a cool guy. If I can be anything like him.
Well, it's also like I suppose someone like that. You know what? Actually, talking about that, it made me think that is the kind of inspiration I have. Tom Hardy. It's not like, oh, I'm inspired to be like him, but it's one of those guys that's come from nothing. So he had a very similar sort of upbringing as me. Evolved around drugs, evolved around crime. That's where he was sort of brought up, and then he's made it successful. And that's what inspires me when I see people that didn't have a leg up and they've got to where they deem successful, and that's inspirational. It's listening to someone who's got drive, who's got passion, and even if they're rich or even if they're famous, it's someone that will sit there and may not have the best start, but is better than where they started, and sit there and be like, oh, "I did this." Like, yeah, props to me, and that's sort of what inspires me when I see somebody who's a bit like that.
Oh, that's what, I think that's what they hope to do for us as well, isn't it? They hope to actually. They don't necessarily want the bad stories coming out about what they do behind closed doors, and they want the stories to come out that are basically going to inspire younger people or just people around, the people who are not, famous and not themselves, that can drive them forward, kind of thing. Is there anyone like that for you, Paul? I know that being a football fan, it's got to be a couple of footballers, something like that.
Funny enough, because although you look around the football world and growing up and things like that, there was not too much exposure outside of football, unless it was Paul Gascoigne, and that was all the negative side of things. So some of the things growing up, I mean, there's been certain things around Raheem Sterling where I look at him as a different person compared to football. I think he's a great human as opposed to when it comes to football. But the one thing for me, I'm trying to think back, because I quite like motivational speakers and things like that. I've liked Jim Rohn and stuff like that. But I think the one that's hit me the most was actually The Rock. And he does this conversation to American football team. And the one thing that stuck with me was where he's sitting there and goes, whatever I go and do, I have to remember that my back's up against the wall, that there's the only fucking way I can go is that way. I can only go forward from here. So no matter how bad a situation or where it is, wherever you have to encounter, the back's up against the wall, that I can't go any further backwards. I need to cannonball forward. And that's one thing I always takes. There is times where you sit there, especially at the moment, where you sit there and go, "This is shit. This is There's no way to do it." I mean, I had to do a mental health talk last week. It was time to talk day the other day, so we did a staff call, which is a couple of hundred people, and I had to write a speech for it. And within about 6 hours, I'd written, "Good afternoon. It's a bit shit, isn't it? Thank you." And it took a long time. I wrote one, I had to delete another one, but it went well in the end. And it's that set point where you sit there and think, no matter how shit it is, okay, back's up against the wall. I can't just sit here on this. There's got to be a way forward. But coming on to me, I know you said your inspiration was Tom Moore, Captain Sir Tom Moore. Captain Sir Captain.
It's not so much of a he's pretty much like inspired an entire nation, and the only reason why I find him much of an inspiration is when I get to that age, I hope that I have the drive to go and do something like that, and not to just lie down and die, kind of thing. And nobody can blame people at that age for doing that, because for crying out loud, they've lived long enough. It's hard enough when we're in our 30s, and we're struggling to get through our lives as it is. When you've done it for 90
I'm not in my 30s.
It's a bit like, Yeah. Well, we'll see. you already lived the life of some 30-year-old.
To be fair, prior to the podcast, you was talking about how your back's knackered. You've talked about how you're now allergic to beer.
But Dom, do you know how much of a piece of shit that makes me seem when we're talking about Captain Sir Moore, and when we're talking about all these other inside people, and I'm like, oh, my back. Sure. Have you heard of a guy called David Goggins?
I recognise the name, but
he's sort of like his Instagram star now, but he was average Joe, kind of fat actually, right? Like a fat guy, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to join the I'm going to join Navy SEALs. Just a random fat guy, like I'm going to join Navy SEALs, and he smashed it, and he just started running, lost all this weight, started just being this most motivational guy you could ever fucking see on Instagram. And he joined Navy SEALs, and then he stopped that, and now he just runs and works out and just talks. He's just this beast of a man. I've been following him for a while, and he ended up hurting his leg, his knee, and he ended up having like 2 syringes full of fluid drained out of his knee, right? And he was on crutches, and he posted a picture of himself with crutches, and everyone started chatting shit and like sending him shit like, oh, you can't do it, oh, you're just all talk, and like 3 days later he was running down the road again, like talking shit at the camera, like, you think you know me, you think you do better than me. Like that's cool. I like him. Like David Goggins is someone to follow if you ever want to be like motivated or inspired by some guy who just pushes shit.
It's funny you bring up this kind of thing, because it actually just reels around to something else I wanted to talk about. I've been struggling a lot recently, especially over the last 2 weeks, with inspiration and a bit of drive in just generally everyday life. And as a guy who is not I don't sit at home every day, because of COVID and things like that. Which, by the way, we've not actually meant to mention that word because it gets demonetized. You can only ever mention that word if it's from a factual place like the news. So you have to kind of call it something else. You call it like the pandemic thing. So otherwise it gets knocked down, which I thought is absolutely ridiculous. But I kind of see why they're doing it. Anyway, the reason why I've worked this out, because I'm sitting there every day, especially over the last week, I've gone to work or I've woken up and been like, today's going to be a good day. I'm going to have a crack at this. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go and do this. Something along the way happens, usually from other people, and it just instantly puts me on a downer, and I'm seriously struggling with it. Like, one of the things that I've noticed is conflicts, people who incite conflict with others. And you said there about the gentleman who was, hurt his leg. People started sending him shit. You can't do this, you can't do that, blah, 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 blah. And he just rose above it and went, I can do this. So it's not even like aimed at me, half these conflicts. I'm reading these conflicts online, and it just makes me feel like shit. But I struggle so badly with it that I just end up kind of sitting there going, okay, go to bed, wake up tomorrow.
I mean, it's really difficult at the moment because with the rise of social media and everything that's happened. I mean, me and Kieran were messaging the other day, and we instantly both went, we blame the internet. For the sake of things, which is great, but the thing is, people have been so emboldened to share their voices now, but on the negative side of things. So if you believe in conspiracy theories is now almost alternative fact to some people, where they're like, well, this is what's actually going on, and it spreads. It's like what's happening with QAnon and everything like that. And it's so easy to get developed into this world. I don't mean in the conspiracy theory, but you see how much around you is like that. And there was always a saying where they said it's 10 positive comments to every 1 negative in terms of how it affects your mind. So you can have so many people saying good things, but somebody is saying negative, and you'll focus on that straight away. Doesn't matter what happens. A lot of people in celebrity world and things like that will see that and react to it. And it's just so easy when you're swiping through and you can see the comments. And they always, because people reply to them so much, attacking back at them. Yeah, it pushes theirs up, so it gets illuminated even more and more. and it's very difficult.
Just to give you, for instance, the situation. I mean, obviously there's things that happen sort of there and then on the day, but I mean with social media in particular, I have a family member who is very outspoken on social media about the US presidential election. Now, with all the greatest respect in the world, I don't know an awful lot about our current politics. We've had conversations about that on Dadnamic, and that's in our own country. He doesn't live in this country. There's my family member. He doesn't live in the US, yet he feels the need to go online and basically share stuff about how Joe Biden's evil and Donald Trump did everything that Joe Biden did beforehand, and everyone who thinks this is wrong. And he specifically, when people sit there and go, well, actually, this is incorrect, it's about this, he will sit there and pick on them. And I end up sitting there just thinking, you had no need at all to start this. And for some reason, you felt the need to go and do it. And it makes me want to sit there and just delete them. But the family, and you're a bit like...
This is the problem. So something which this guy, your family member, probably not gave a second thought after you've done that. Right? He probably did it. He's not thought about it again because you've done it. You've kept that with you. And you've carried that around with you. Right? And now that's affecting you. And this is the problem. And it's not just social media, it's life. This is the problem. Everyone gets so wound up. And it's intensified now because of COVID, because we can't do anything else. But everyone gets so wound up with other people's actions that they're not even thinking about. You know, and you just carry around this sort of anger. Now, I fall for it too, but I really try not to. So, like, my thing is like, so if you're annoyed about something, can you do anything about it? If the answer is no, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
like, can you do that? No, I can't do anything about it. Don't worry about it.
I know.
Like, I've never read Moby Dick. Have you ever read Moby Dick?
This is me you're talking to here. I've just about read Spot the Dog.
To be fair, looking at you right now, it looks like you tried to catch Moby Dick.
It does.
I was about 2 hours ago, actually.
There's this bit in Moby Dick, and they say the human body is like the dregs of a glass of wine. Yeah? So it's like the shit of a glass of wine. The rest of the wine is like human consciousness. So what we are is the tiniest little inconceivable, insignificant bit of what the entire glass of wine, what consciousness and humanity is. We are that compared to that. And to me, that means, so like, just have a bit of laugh. Don't worry about it. Like, shit's like, it don't matter. Like, the little things with that big, it don't matter.
I know.
So
I know what you mean.
Don't worry about it.
It doesn't upset me that much, as much as what I'm probably making out. It's just more a case of like when you just sit there and think to yourself, why do we as human beings, some of us, feel the need to go and do that? Why is it hardwired into us to go and do that? And it's more of a curiosity thing that I end up just sitting there thinking, is it me for not wanting to go and do that, or for sitting there and thinking it's wrong to do that I'm the weird one? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's more the curiosity side of things. I told you guys the story as well. I know deep down that it's not, but you do. Your brain sort of sits there and just overworks after a while, where you do end up kind of going, "Is it this? Is that? Whatever." I told you this story the other day as well, because it happens in real life. It happens like there and then on a daily basis kind of thing. I go to work, and again, I'm walking in there. On this particular day, I've walked in, spoken to one of the other drivers at work, and I said to morning, Nigel, you all right? Yeah, how's things? Do you have a good weekend? And the first thing that he did, he's got a brand new truck sat there, and he just went, no, truck's too high. It's too far off the ground. The crane don't work properly. This doesn't work. The tacho's not good. And I was like, it's Monday morning. You've just been given a brand new truck. Why do you feel the need to just go and pick holes in it? But why would you not just sit there and go, God, that's shiny. Can't wait to get out in that.
Well, I think that's a form of. I think we can also be terribly British sometimes.
Yeah.
When you can't be overly happy and you can't be too proud or too happy or like our natural response is you're right. Like you can't say like if you say you're right and someone says I'm really good, you look at them like they're a weirdo. Like our natural response is to be we've got brought up being very sort of mellow, like linear, like no, it's all right. It could be worse. It's just what we got brought up being.
I mean,
brought up moaning.
We're in this situation at the moment where we've got things to moan about, and it's really strange because people who are not working have got things to moan about because they're not at work. They don't know when they're going back to work. They don't know what's happening with the world. People who are working are like, well, it's still the world out there. And you know what? It's still crap, and we're on the front line as people who are potentially in danger. If you're in lockdown, how do what would you do to say that you keep yourself positive to help people out there who can't be? What helps you have a positive frame of mind?
So I think one of the things, going back to what you said before, in terms of looking at things, and the reason people are so open and complaining about things is similar to a dating world, or it's similar to this. People will instantly look for the holes in things. They'll look for the problems in life, and they'll go, no, don't like that, rather than going, oh, I like that, or I like that. And it seems to be ingrained in us from an early age, where you're told what's not good and what is good, and then instantly you start going towards what is good and what's not good about anything. But in terms for now, so although work's really busy and stuff like that, living alone, I have to really keep my mind occupied when little one's not here and things like that. So I took up the old painting and stuff like that, just to keep the mind occupied.
Could you do me a favour? If you've got a photo of it, put it on Twitter, because it is actually beautiful. And I know it seems really silly because it is a paint by numbers thing, but you should hold that in high regard because that's very, very good.
Gay, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's something to do. But also, I'm currently, I try and embroil myself into other things. So we did mental health week at work, where I was heavily involved. We also did. I'm writing to Parliament about sexual and domestic abuse and trying to improve the legislation around it and things like that. So there's loads going on just to keep the mind preoccupied rather than anything. I think if you sit there and I was trying to speak to someone today who said they were struggling. I was like, if you were told that the end date of the lockdown is, say, in 4 weeks' time, what would you do in those 4 weeks? What if you've got 4 weeks until life returns to normality or it starts to open back up? So I know if we said in 4 weeks' time the pub is open, we'd go 4 weeks' time, we're going down the pub, we're going to get drunk, and we know that's when things start back open. I'm going to say, okay, I want to see people, I want to do this, I want to try that. Whereas in these 4 weeks, although it's really, really draining, and it can be, what can you do in 4 weeks? There's plenty of times in life where you've sat there and gone, I don't have the time to do this or that. You've now got, say, as an example, you now have 4 weeks to sit there and go, I've always wanted to do this, I've always wanted to achieve that. What has been on my backlog? What can I go and do now? So that's where I'm looking at the moment.
Can I quickly interject?
Go
on. So you're talking about this, you've got some weeks to do stuff. Yeah?
Yeah.
Once again, I edited the last podcast.
Yes.
I seem to remember there being a challenge set.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nathan's not here.
Yeah. I would like to see
the
outcome of this challenge.
About that. I believe I was challenged to draw all 151 original Pokemon.
Correct. How many have you drawn?
I did one.
Okay, that's good. That's a start.
That's brilliant.
It's pretty terrible. And I'm going to say this, I haven't actually got it to hand, and it actually needs finishing more than anything else. So what I will do...
So you haven't finished it? You haven't done it?
No. Yeah, no. I will send it on Twitter if anyone is interested. The thing was, right, when we set this, because I said we were talking about things that we've gotten into over the lockdown, like things that we weren't originally into, things that we found that are brand new. Which, by the way, Kieran, you weren't there for that. So, is there anything that you wanted to that you've actually found helps you throughout lockdown? Things that you've found that are brand new that you wouldn't expect beforehand.
Well, we were talking, so you already mentioned my drinking, so thank you for that. You also mentioned my pottery program, so I've been watching a bit more TV than I usually would, just chilling out. I started writing a children's book.
That's cool.
Started writing a children's book. I've also started writing a few jokes, like stand-up jokes. Because
stand-up scene at the moment it's not really taking off, but I'm sure you get it all in place now.
But I feel I remember us having a conversation last year, or a while ago, when was having a challenge, and one of us was going to do the loser was going to do a stand-up routine.
Yes, I remember.
And I wrote down a few jokes, and I've actually wrote down a few more, and I probably wrote down maybe a 15-minute set altogether now. And I think it's funny, but I haven't had the chance to try it on, so I've been doing that, and I've been drawing, drawing, writing the children's book, and doing my jokes and exercising. The start of this year, I was going to enter a competition, and it sounds really stupid, and it's the first time I'm actually speaking about it. And cool. I was going to enter a strongman competition.
Okay.
And that was my thing for this year. So that I was looking. There's a heavyweight limit of £265. So my aim for the year was to get to £265 and get myself in good shape to be able to enter this competition. I've got to about £250, maybe a little bit more. And I've been doing a lot of exercising, a lot of weightlifting, a lot of deadlifting. I've set it all out in the garden. And I've been doing heavier and heavier weights than I've ever lifted before. But I don't think that any of these competitions are now going to open this year. I did it in preparation that maybe there'll be something.
I was going to say, maybe you can start prepping now for the following year.
Yeah, so that's what I aim to do. I feel like that's done me well. I've lost a bit of my stomach. I feel like I'm in better shape. I feel like I look better. I was able to run the other day. That was because I've also stopped smoking. So I gave up smoking to do this. Which is a massive deal. So I ain't smoked all this year. So
you're still holding it together quite well.
So I'm doing all right. So that's sort of what I've done.
That's good.
So yeah, to answer your question, which was about 10 minutes ago, mainly exercising and writing jokes and illustrating and writing a children's book. I could show you a picture of my children's book if you want.
See, his picture's probably worth showing.
It's really not. It's to do with. I'm not going to give away my entire premise of the story because patent pending. I'm not going to have people steal my story. But it's got something to do with a little dinosaur, right?
I think Julia Donaldson, listens to our podcast. You want to be careful.
Oh, look at it! Is that
cool? Look at him.
A little dinosaur. Obviously.
Is that a baseball cap on backwards?
Yeah, because he's a little boy, isn't he? Little child dinosaur. That's his little car and his ball. That's not certain.
I like it.
And that's his tree for his window.
So for the people listening to the podcast rather than watching us on YouTube, it is a dinosaur with a baseball cap on backwards in his bedroom, basically.
It sounds just as rad as it looks.
So that's what it is, and it's going to be a story about this little dinosaur and his family. And,
don't give it away.
That's all it is. No patent pending.
Well, the reason why I brought that up was because when I said, I found this drawing show on YouTube called Drawfeed, by the way, if you ever get a chance to go and watch it. It's a comedy show. It's about animators who go out their way to do funny drawings. They don't teach you how to draw. That doesn't make me a better drawer because I watched the show. My artist skills are still crap, just to make that clear. But
Here's my picture of Pikachu.
That's a really good one. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen that Dorky video. Pikachu!
Oh, yeah. Use a thunderbolt or something.
Yeah. Just say solar beam.
Oh, man, I'm charging.
Okay. Well, okay. I think we're going to try and wrap this up. To be honest, before I do go back to the question of fictional death, things like that. One of the things that I just want to touch on is actually something that we've done today, and we handled it pretty well in a mature manner. I turned around to you with a genuine problem of how I felt, and you all sat there and gave me advice and guided me through things. I think that's inspirational to people who struggle to actually come out and word their problems. All right, I have problems are not actually, anything big. It doesn't, directly affect me. Yes, I can turn around and say I've been a bit down in the dumps or whatever, but it's not as if I'm, like I'm being physically or emotionally hurt. But I just think that, especially as young men, young men don't do it enough. People don't do it enough, and I just want to say thank you to you two first of all, for actually handling it in a mature manner and for actually turning around and going, it's okay.
Do you mean we didn't take the piss like we normally do?
Well, yeah.
But the one thing I will the one thing I will say on this is I was watching an interview with I think it was Chester Bennington actually, lead singer of Linkin Park. He was talking. He goes, "There's people who will sit around the room in one of their sessions, and somebody will talk about how they were homeless, they were on drugs, they were this, they were that they had all the vices in the world, and they were really struggling, and life was so poor. And then the other person next to them was just a binge drinker 3 or 4 times a week. Well, I say just, but in comparison, they were sitting there going, oh, I'm just this. Yeah. He went, look, it doesn't matter what the problem is. You're here. Things are fucked up enough for you to be here. So if something weighs on your mind or something stresses you out, or you feel yourself get into a negative thought pattern or a similar behavior, that's the time to speak up. It's not, it's not a case of, oh, it's insignificant or, oh, it's not, there's nothing really. If it's affecting you, then yeah, it's something. It's something that you're speaking about. We're all different people. We're all at different stages, and life's shit as it is outside. So yeah, it doesn't matter how small it is, or how small your penis. I haven't taken the piss out of you for a while, so I thought I'd get one in.
It's like we were all having a laugh and joke, and sometimes we get a bit serious. A lot of the time, we just take the piss out of each other, but in a lovely way. Like every insult we have, there's love behind it. But
I think
we also know when we need to be serious, and I think it's there's so much shit going on in the world, and there's so much shit that people are walking around carrying that no one else knows about, and everything else can just like set them off. But the one thing that helps me is just sitting there thinking, when it's other people's bullshit, like other people's negativity that they're aiming out towards the world, like if I can't do nothing about it, don't worry about it. Yeah, like if they ain't going to be bothered by it, then I'm not going to be bothered by it.
No, that's true. You're right. I just think that, like I said, it was just so refreshing to actually come. This is what I mean. It was all week. I've been sat here thinking to myself, yeah, well, at least we're going to do a podcast at the end of the week, and I get to chat to my friends. We get to talk things out and actually help each other as well as helping other people. I hope that if there's anyone out there who's got similar issues to what I had this week or over the past couple of weeks, that by sitting here talking to each other has helped them as well. So who wants to go first? Fictional death. Your favourite. You've got this already, Kieran, a bit.
Kieran's busy eating.
Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince.
That is a shout. That is a proper shout. I actually the other day. The famous clip with where Will actually confronts his real dad and then turns around and gives Uncle Phil massive
why don't my dad love me, man? Yeah. But yeah, no, Uncle Phil, like he was inspirational. He had a bit of a background as well. He was a fighter.
Break out
Black Pride. He was just an all round good guy. like he was just and like the actor himself,
James Avery.
James Avery.
Yes, yeah.
Was a fantastic guy, fantastic actor as well. Like if I ever look at like the dads in programs that I want to emulate, it'll be Uncle Phil.
I think
Which is what I started
I think one of the things that I relate, because the moment you said him, you try to identify similar traits between him and yourself. He's one of those imposing figures that when he comes and walks in the room, he takes up the energy of the room. He is the dominant person in the room, commanding the respect just by a look and things like that. But isn't afraid to let go at times as well. Like there's plenty of times where you see him do his dance, and we've all seen Kieran dance. Either be positive or negative about it, but you know, it's one of those things where lifted up, and there's a lot of similarities.
I like that one. That's definitely a good shout.
Gay.
You're gay, but I love you.
See, it's weird that you said Uncle Phil, because the moment I missed the uncle at first, and I just heard Phil, because I was going to go for a Phil from Modern Family, simply because
yeah.
It's like his line where it's like, if life gives you lemonade, you make lemons out of it, and the universe will be like, what? It's things like that. I particularly watch this show just for him. Although I like the other characters in it, Phil is just one of those, like.
I think all of the dads in it represent different things, and I think Phil is probably the one that you end up like relating to the most.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jay's a brilliant dad in his own weird little way. You know, so are Cam and
Mitch.
Mitch, that's it. Yeah, they're both brilliant dads as well in their own little way. But you end up going to Phil and warming to him because of he's so relatable. Yeah,
I think it's just the case of trying to be that fun dad. You don't want to always be strict and stuff like that, but he's like the Kieran will relate to this. Wrestlers are always taught to be yourself, but dialed up to 100 rather than just a mediocre version. That's where most of the characters come from. And Phil is like that fun dad, just tried to dial himself up to 100, and everything has to be about it. But at the same time, you know, he will look out for the kids. He'll always be there. He wants Christmas to be perfect. He wants everything to be imperfect for them, not for himself. Although he enjoys the ride along the way, is one thing that I really like about him. Now, Captain Birdseye, who would you look up to?
I've gone completely in the opposite direction.
Ian Watkins?
No, definitely not him. That's not inspirational at all. It's got to, in an odd way, right? To hear me out here, got to be Homer Simpson. Okay, this is possibly the best fictional dad in the world, because the guy is clumsy, he's lazy, he just gets through life barely to drink beer, but most of all, when the chips are down, he does everything for his family that he can do. He might make a mistake, but then afterwards he'll sit there and go, I know that I have to do something right. And not just that, when you watch The Simpsons, which I have done a lot recently because my 4-year-old is now into it, I love it. He goes on some of the best adventures, and it's just brilliant.
I get that. He does strangle his boy quite a bit.
I mean, when Kieran will back me up on this.
You
don't have a son.
I've never
you don't have
children.
I know, but you don't have a son, Paul. You only have a daughter, but your son will know how to wind you up just enough to that point where you will sit there and go, God, I wish I could. It's just
his daughters are good at this.
With both genders of children, I have to disagree with you. The daughter will push you to a limit that you did not know you have.
Oh, no.
And you get so wound up and you don't know what to do. And she looks, she goes, hi, Daddy. And you're like,
It's great, ain't it? Because the way I can explain this is, although partners annoy you and wives and girlfriends and God knows who, to a level that you never thought possible, because they find your button and they can sit there and push it like Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory. Whereas having a daughter they know how to do that, but at the same time, rather than a partner's the way I explain it, a partner's inside your chest, the little girl is like having your heart taken out and put around, allowed to run out, and that's the thing that's pushing your own buttons. So there's just this extra thing about it where you're like, my God, if I can throw you out. No, I've told Izzy many times, we live on the 5th floor. If Daddy throws you out this window, you don't come back. Because I used to say it back at my old house, and she'd go, "We're on the ground floor, Daddy. Go on, I'll come back in." And this is what little girls are like.
Yeah, like they even at this age, my mine's 2, little girl, she's 2. She has an answer for everything. Answer for absolutely everything. Now, my boys, the worst I've got to expect is a clip around the back of the head when I'm not paying attention. Right, and I can handle that. Right, they get a bit volatile, but in a fun way. They're expressing their boundaries and with like a little bit of play fun.
I think,
but they're not that great at winding me up.
I think girls know what they're doing. I think that's half the problem. I think with boys,
plus they don't stop. I don't know if it's mine, but she don't stop. Like she's always talking, just always talking.
Mine, my little man is. He's like clumsy. He clumsily winds me up. He'll go and do something that he thinks he clumsily winds me up. Like
I thought he said he sucks plums at first. Oh, right. Your internet cut out a little bit.
Yeah, it's crap around it.
You mentioned Ian Watkins. He'll
go out. Stop it. He'll go and do something. You're like, could you just stop doing that? And he's like, but I didn't. What am I doing? And then he goes and does it. And you're like, don't do that. And he's like, but what am I not supposed to be doing? I don't understand. It's like.
See, whereas little girls do understand and they know what they're doing and they want to annoy and they want to kill you.
Yeah. So, like, unfortunately, like my 2-year-old girl is smarter than my 3-year-old boy in certain regards. So she will wind him up deliberately wind him up. Like the best thing she's done, and it's not best for him, but best for me to watch, was they were sitting on their high chairs having their dinner, and they have a couple of toys each. And he dropped his dinosaur. He's mad about dinosaurs. He dropped his dinosaurs on the floor. He's like, "Oh no, my dino!" And she looked at him and she goes, "That's my dino." And he was like, no, it's my dino. She's like, "No, that's my dino." And she just kept telling him that it was her dino, and he didn't understand what was going on. So he was just losing his shit, just screaming at her. And she was smirking and was like, "Nah, it's my dino." And like shit like that, where I'd be like, "Stop picking on your brothers. Like, stop it."
Yeah. I've always said to my partner, I was like, "Should we have another one? But if it's some, can we make sure it's a girl?" After this, you really put that off. I don't want. No, I don't want another one at all.
They're so cute. Like even today, like I spend the day just chilling mainly with my boys. Sounds like I chill with my testicles, but I chill mainly with my boys. Because my little girl, she's off with her mum and she's doing different things, and the boys, they like to just lay down and watch TV. But then I get this in the evening. I always get like half-hour cuddle with her. And it's the cutest, coolest shit in the world. And so you got to have a little girl just for the cuddles. At the end of the day.
I'll have to talk around to it. The missus though. On that bombshell, I think we're going to sign off. Paul, where can people find us?
People can find us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. I think you can also find us on all good podcasting websites. So your Spotify's, your iTunes, Anchor, and a few others. Tune Recorder, I think, is one of them. But yeah, you can find us there.
Google Play.
It's Dadnamic.
That is the first time you've spelt Saint correctly.
Yeah. Trying not to see her halfway through. DADNZPQRA.
Diddy.
Delta. No, right. Okay, right. Anyway, we're gonna leave it at that, guys. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone, and please be safe in these worrying times. And we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Ciao.